From St. Joseph, Missouri, here is Travis Lee Hartman.
I'm ready when you are. Are you ready?
Shut up. It worked. Y'all shut up. Okay, but
come over here and make me.
We're literally Zooming and we're like 15 minutes from each other. That's what's.
Well, you know what? It is what it is. I saw enough of you for the past few days. Welcome to the latest episode of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. What episode is this?
27.
27.
We celebrated our 6-month anniversary.
Wow, that is pretty incredible. For those that don't know or not aware, that there is Weekend Trav. Do you like how I point? Hey.
B-Money.
As B-Money, the producer, we're here. We're coming to you from Orlando, Florida. Even though we're 15 minutes apart, we thought Zooming would be nice. We just came back from Dallas, Texas Weekend Trav, and we wanted to give at least it's going to be a shorter episode this week. We want to talk about the Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell DAZN pay-per-view matchup that we were a part of as Ashleigh Curry was there fighting and we were cornering her. Before we get into that, special thanks to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. As always, thank you for the media support. Weekend Trav. Hold on a second. I got this. Hold on a second. I was waiting for you for a while, so.
Did you finish some of it?
I come prepared.
Oh, nice decanter.
That is a stormtrooper right there, buddy.
Beautiful.
You don't know what that is. You don't watch Star Wars.
I don't. I've heard of it, though.
All right. Cheers. All right. So, Weekend Trav. How you doing?
Doing good, buddy. Cheers for a successful weekend. I mean, actually, we were there from Wednesday till Sunday, but cheers to a successful weekend of boxing.
Yeah, it was definitely a full few days. You got to catch our content on the YouTube channel. We broke down a lot of video footage from 4 days worth of our travels, being on site, being in the hotel, being in the sports bubble, being in the American Airlines arena for fight day or fight night, I should say. So it was a pretty full journey.
Times of COVID, so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So there we go. So we're COVID free as far as we're aware. Anyways, so Weekend Trav, give me a rundown here. Let's start with the actual main event. Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell. They battled it out in what was a great match. I think there was a lot of I'd say a few twists and turns there. The crowd was definitely into it. American Airlines Arena was at the 25% capacity for that main event, and those two did not disappoint. So Weekend Trav, give me your thoughts, give me your assessment. You can base it off of your prediction video, but then also just the full-on fight itself.
Yeah, I mean, this is one fight that's a pretty cool episode for us because we got to see it live.
Yeah,
we were there, so that was pretty cool. My prediction video was I thought that Ryan Garcia would win, and I called it by a decision. However, Ryan Garcia ended up stopping him in the 7th round with a body shot. But like B-Money said, there was a massive twist. In the 2nd round, me and Brandon were watching this fight live. Like literally, we were standing in the hallway watching the fight live at the American Airlines Center while Ashleigh was resting up in the locker room. But we saw that knockdown, and we both looked at each other like, because Ryan Garcia got dropped by a mean left hand from Luke Campbell, put him on his butt. Like that was legit. I think he was knocked out literally until he hit the ground and woke him up.
When you rewatch that actual knockout, I think you're right. His legs went knockdown. I'm sorry. His legs went out from underneath him. His arm was behind his body when he landed. He's lucky he didn't hurt himself on that, by the way.
Yeah.
But to the comments of Luke Campbell's camp, his trainer and whatnot, that same night afterwards, as we were at the restaurant, we spent about an hour and a half or so with them that night after the fight, and their trainer was like, he's the real deal. Ryan Garcia's the real deal. He popped up off the canvas in like 2 seconds, and he was there.
Yeah, that's the thing. There was 2 impressive things about that night. One was he'd never been knocked down. He'd never been really tested because everybody thought he was a pretty boy. Everybody thought he was this Instagram star, this internet star, that when things got tough, they thought that he was going to shut down because he's a pretty boy. He proved in the 2nd round, he got dropped hard by a legit 135-pound world-class athlete, world-class contender, and Luke Campbell dropped him hard with a straight left over the top, put him on his butt. And you're right, Shane McGuigan,
Yep.
which is Luke's trainer, this is coming out of his mouth, told us, he goes, that kid has metal, meaning like he's tough, he's strong. We didn't expect that, but he's like, when he got up at the count of 2, he's like, I looked at one of our other trainers, which was his brother, and he was just like, well, this kid's tough. And that is massive respect right there.
Yeah, out of Shane's mouth, he basically said the social media darling doesn't get up from that. He's like, so he really proved something not only to us but the world. He tough kid, 22 years old. He's got the whole future ahead of him at this point. And listen, it's definitely star power there, star power.
And then what was more impressive is how he won, because Luke Campbell had just fought Vasily Lomachenko, who was one of the best pinpoint punchers, the best body punchers, like a little all around everything. And Luke Campbell lost a decision on points over 12 rounds to Lomachenko. Luke Campbell had never been stopped in his career. And literally, Ryan Garcia stopped Luke Campbell with a body shot. Like, if you're a professional boxer or even an expert enthusiast, you know that stopping somebody at that level with a body shot is special. It's very special because it doesn't happen often. A stoppage usually doesn't happen in those high-level fights, but the fact that he stopped him with a body shot, and Brandon, I've watched that replay in slow-mo so many times, and do it in slow-mo because you see the effect. It's a jolt, like, oh my gosh, like the ripples go through that body of Campbell when he gets hit with that left hook to the body from Garcia. I felt it, man. I told you that in my professional boxing career, even though I've lost to all of the top guys, I've never been knocked out with a head punch, ever. Right. I can take a head punch out of this world, but I am speaking from experience that body punches hurt worse. And Luke Campbell showed that, like, dude, his whole world, I guarantee you, was spinning. His breath was gone. He couldn't even breathe as he's on the ground watching the referee count him out. And it was, dude, the average fan might not respect that because they seen a body shot and he took a knee. But as a true boxing enthusiast like I am, I can tell everybody for a fact that if Luke Campbell could have gotten up, I promise you he would have gotten up. He couldn't get up.
Well, it's the physiology behind a liver punch. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, he got, and it was solid. If you have watched any of Ryan Garcia's social media posts, things like that, he always does this like kind of a gut shot, the body shot challenge with his boys, and they put the gear on, and he is going to town on and still putting them down on the ground. Now, granted, they're not professional boxers, but I mean, you have the pads on, and he is laying it out. So, I was trying to find some information as to like what actually occurs when the liver gets struck so significantly. And if you talk for a minute, I could find it here. But it's incredible.
I know what it feels like. It feels like your body's paralyzed. You can't breathe. Your absolute wind is gone. And it's like a temporary paralysis. Like your whole body just kind of goes like flat. Like it's all of the wind has been taken out of your sail. That is like the best example. If you're on a sailboat and you're sailing, all of the wind leaves and you completely stop. Everything stops for a brief moment. And that's kind of what happens from that body shot, a liver shot. It's just brutal.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm reading some of the physiological like deals with it, like your blood pressure basically drops. It goes almost to nothing. And so that's a trigger. I mean, there's a domino effect there. So if you get hit with one of those and it's solid and it's from Ryan Garcia, night's over. Now, Luke Campbell, he dropped to the one knee, and we were like, oh my gosh. But once that second knee went to the ground, we knew it was over. We
were like, it's done. He's not getting up.
But let's be fair here. I mean, that was 7th round, right? 7th round.
Yep.
It was a pretty tight contest at that point. Maybe Garcia was up 1 or 2 rounds at that point, but it was pretty contested. I mean, these guys were, I mean, especially that second round knockdown that Luke Campbell had on him. That helped, kind of get things going, and that's where the crowd was really into the match. Because I think Ryan Garcia handily won round 1, but then the second round obviously went to Luke, and then the next few rounds were pretty mixed.
Yeah, They were close. I mean, Ryan ended up pulling away a little bit towards the fifth, sixth, and seventh, I believe. But either way, it was a close fight. Up to that point, I did still have Garcia ahead on points.
Yes.
But that second round was big for Luke Campbell, and that helped him in a seventh. It was only the seventh round, so they would score up to 6 rounds. So just based on that scorecard, it would be 4 rounds to 2 for Garcia. So he'd only be ahead 2 points. If you
I was impressed with Luke Campbell's striking ability. Very accurate. Able to connect at the end of the punches, right? So that, I mean, obviously that's where all the power happens. Like that's the contact, rather than, still chambered. I mean, he was hitting strikes at the end of the actual strike. So I was very impressed there. Ryan Garcia is fast. I mean, he came out with like 5 punch combination. I can't remember which round it was, but came out of the gate for 30 seconds, and it was a bunch of 5, 6 punch combinations, all lightning fast.
I think about the 5th or 6th, because he thought he had Campbell hurt, I believe.
Yes.
He tried to finish him, and it didn't finish him because Campbell wasn't hurt. Yeah. But you made a good point, though, that I remember when we were having that conversation with Barry McGuigan, who is the Hall of Fame boxer. Barry actually told us, he said that he thought that Luke Campbell had some of the best timing of anybody that's been around. His punches were so well timed, which means they're very well placed, and his power is well placed. And he was like, he had phenomenal timing. And guess what? He was right, because it showed. That punch was so well timed and so on the very end of his punch and just spot on. So it was kind of cool, Brandon, to hear Barry McGuigan say that to us at lunch. And then literally the next day, it actually happened almost that way. He was just telling us his strength of Luke Campbell, and it's what happened. His timing and his punch, the power on the end of his punch, it was right there. Because that punch was literally on the very end of Campbell's punch. Like it probably didn't even hit him with all of his power, but it hit him with most of it at the very end of his punch, and it put Garcia on his butt, and it woke him up.
Yeah, it shook his pretty haircut. It did. I saw his hair flow, his flowing.
It knocked that 5 o'clock shadow off his face briefly, and had the baby face again for a second.
Are we sure that 5 o'clock shadow was real? I'm not sure if it was or not.
Yeah, I don't know, because that actually, he's a very baby face. He actually had a beard before he came to the fights, and then at the fights he shaved, clean shaven, and then like the next day, that was a pretty impressive 5 o'clock shadow for a day. The day before he was like clean shaven. I was like, that was impressive actually for that baby face 22-year-old. I was a little impressed. That's why I was a little bit questioning it though, like you. We're like, that was a really, really quick turnaround and a really good 5 o'clock shadow. Is that real?
Yeah, well, I mean, if anything, after this fight, obviously the self-proclaimed, if not proclaimed now, king, it continues to make that weight class, that weight division very, very interesting and very exciting heading into this year, 2021. There's going to be some action there. Who do you think now, and we won't talk about Luke Campbell, and there's some comments there, but we'll keep them to ourselves at this point. But let's talk Ryan Garcia's next step. What are you thinking is going to be his next possible matchup? I know who they keep saying they want, but who do you think is going to be it?
I think there's a big chance it's going to happen at Tank Davis. It's going to happen. And the reason I say that, it's going to be difficult because Tank fights for Mayweather, and Tank is a Al Haymon kid as well. And Al Haymon doesn't really deal that much with DAZN and Golden Boy, but they have made fights in the past. And Ryan Garcia has openly been feuding with Tank over Twitter, etc., and over social media. And after this fight, he came right out and said it, and he said, "I want Tank." Now, Golden Boy, which is Oscar De La Hoya, has came out and been like, "Hey, Floyd, let's do it." So there's a lot of pressure right now on Tank. So that's why I think that fight has a really good chance of happening, because before, Tank and them were like, "Oh, he doesn't have enough star power. He's not popular enough." Now, the kid's legit. The kid's popular. The kid is a star, and he can fight. And the funny thing about it is, before Saturday, I would have thought Tank would have beat Garcia. But after Garcia's performance against Luke Campbell, I'm not sure now. I'm not saying that Garcia beats him, but I'm saying that now I have a legit question whether Tank can beat Garcia, because Garcia proves that he can take a punch, and Tank can punch. That's the thing. Tank can punch. But I was surprised by Luke Campbell's camp, because we got to know them very well, Brandon.
Yeah.
And they were pretty honest and off the record with us about stuff, and they openly said, "Travis, he beats Tank." we think he 100% beats Tank. And I was like, really? You're like that confident? They're like, that kid's better than we thought he was. And he's special. And I was like, wow, like that is special because I think Tank is special. He's got that special talent. He's fast, he hits hard, and he can take a punch. So I want to see that fight for the fans, Brandon. I think Tank and Garcia needs to happen by the end of the year, 100%. And I don't think it's going to be Garcia's very next fight because I think that Garcia's kind of allowed himself to maybe take another lesser of an opponent fight, maybe to build up this Tank one even more. But I don't.
So given that, then who do you think? Are you thinking Linares or what do you think is going to be the fight in between?
I think that would be a beautiful fight because it would be fun because Linares could also beat Garcia. He's got the talent to because Linares beat Luke Campbell. So if you go by that basis, you would say that Garcia beat Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell also got beat by Linares. So now let's match up the winners of those, which would be Linares and Garcia. So I think that's the most logical fight. I still think Garcia wins that. And then let's see Tank. Because that's still an interesting fight. That's not like it's a fight that Garcia wins for sure because Linares can fight.
Yeah, so that night, so the night of the fight when we were spending some time with them again, it was Roberto, I always forget his last name. What was that?
For Golden Boy, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, Roberto Diaz.
Yeah, so he came up and we're all chatting just very candidly about things. And he tends to agree with some of the comments we're making here that maybe Tank isn't the right next move. It is get some filler in the middle, something that's credible, but let's be patient here. Be patient with these guys. These guys are so they want to make the money so quick. They want the stardom so quick. And it's the patience and the testing and the seasoning yourself that I think a lot of these guys are missing out on. So the division itself is continuously just proving itself to everybody. I mean, and oh, by the way, you still have Teofimo out there. He's saying, "Oh no. There's one king. It's not him. It's me."
Yep. I mean, you got Teofimo.
Yep.
Lomachenko.
Yep.
You have Devin
Haney. Yeah.
Tank. Now you have Garcia, and then you have a whole handful of other guys underneath him. But you have 5 legitimate guys who, honestly, all 5 of those guys, just depending on the night, all 5 of those guys could beat each other.
Yeah.
They really could. At any given night, all 5. That's how really tight that division is. Even though I think you have to put Teofimo at the very top, and I still have Lomachenko a very, very, very close second, and the rest of them just kind of fall in line right there. So you were talking about it. You love that tournament-style stuff.
Bracketology.
That would be so amazing. And I think that the reason why the most logical one out of that fight next for Garcia would actually be Devin Haney because Devin Haney fights for DAZN, and so does Garcia. However, Devin Haney is actually good friends with Garcia. Both of them are good friends. And they said, we're going to fight. We want to fight. They were like, but I don't want it to be our very next fight. Like, let me beat Tank. Let Devin beat Lopez or beat one of those other guys, and then let's us fight. And I actually tend to agree with it. I'm okay with that, actually. They are friends, but at the end of the day, it is business and it is a sport. So I know they will fight, but I personally don't want to see Devin Haney and Garcia next. I would love to see Garcia fighting either Linares and then Tank, or either one of those guys mixed matched, and then the winner of that fight like the winner of Lomachenko Lopez or Devin Haney Lopez or Devin Haney Lomachenko. It doesn't matter because all of those are interchangeable and they're all great fights.
We have just laid out probably the next 18 months easy in that division.
After 2 years, honestly, probably even 2 years if it all works out that way and there's no major like upsets. That would be perfect.
Well, so it's fantastic. Congratulations once again to Ryan Garcia. Awesome fight. Luke Campbell, awesome fight too. And you know what? My takeaway from the whole thing, and I know the situation was different. The setting was different. The context of us being there was a bit different because of COVID and whatnot. These guys were very personable, very, very friendly, approachable. There was never an issue within the bubble, I didn't think. And I would say even more specifically to Campbell's camp because they were eating with us peasants in the cafeteria a lot. So, but it was great to see that, and the sportsmanship behind all of it was even better. So congrats to those guys in the main event, which was actually in the middle of the card. in order to cater to the UK fans, as it was about 11 o'clock out there when those two guys fought. So once again, congrats to Ryan Garcia, who took home the WBC, right? The WBC belt on that night.
It was the interim WBC title, the interim
That's right.
WBC title. Yep.
That's right. So congrats again, Ryan Garcia. Let's move on from that event. I know we were out there for Ashleigh Curry, as she was fighting, and it ended up being the second to last fight of our night, which, you know, late night and whatnot, but it was still a great setup for her overall. Exciting to be going in there against a champ, an 8-round matchup against the world champion, Franchon. I was waiting for you to say the rest. Franchon
Crews-Dezurn.
Let's get some final assessment here. I know we have video out there for 4 days worth of us being there for Ashleigh Curry and our experience out there as well. Let's give a final wrap-up assessment on that matchup from your take as her trainer, and then just going forward, what's the next step there?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, and we weren't shy about it. We talked about all the stuff leading up to the fight if you watch our YouTube channel and all the days, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Ashleigh had exactly 18 days, which was actually less of training, about 15 actual training days for her to train for this fight, to fight a world champion. And actually, 15 days for anybody is not enough. However, she busted her butt. She really did. I mean, she was still fighting out of her weight class. She was a little too heavy for that. She usually is closer to 154, which is a light middleweight or middleweight, but we were actually fighting at cruiserweight, which is 176, because of what she actually weighed. But she fought a little heavier than she should have, but she proved how tough she is, though, B-Money. I knew that in the back of my head, I probably figured that you and some other people thought that she was going to get knocked out, but I knew she wouldn't. I knew she was that tough.
I didn't think she was going to get knocked out at all. I wasn't aware of how much punishment she could take until I witnessed it, but kept pressing forward. It wasn't one of those matchups where it was 8 rounds and she was just a tackling dummy at all. No, she was fighting back for 8 rounds too. But I was wildly impressed with how much punishment that girl absorbed. Oh my goodness, it was incredible. Now, she was also put in a lot of circumstances where I think the ref was really looking a different direction, with a lot of the punches to the back of the head, the pushing down, all the sort of stuff that was going on in the other corner. But I know for a fact the other corner was extremely frustrated for 8 straight rounds, and even after the fact. Okay, so I was super impressed with Ashleigh. As I've never been able to witness her fight in person, and just let alone being in the corner. She listens. She fought her heart out and absorbed punishment. But even after the fact, from our vantage point, it looked like she was taking punishment. But after the fact, in the locker room, she really looked unscathed.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. You see our selfie that we took after the fight.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell that she wasn't nicked up.
No.
So, where she was the most nicked up, though, was on the back of her head behind her ear.
Yeah, right here.
To show you that those are illegal punches. So it was, listen, technical wise, I would love to work more with Ashleigh technically to get her technically a lot better. And she knows that. She knows that she could have done more, but obviously being off a year and not fighting and only training with me for about 15 days, that she had enough, even though she got tired, she still went 8 rounds, and she had just enough in her to go 8 rounds. But I think if I get to work with her a little longer, you can't teach the toughness that she has. You can't teach that. That you either have that or you don't, and she's got it. So that's what's good. I can work around that because she's athletic, and that's what's gotten her by, because she's so athletic. So if I can give me about 2 to 3 months with her, I'll turn her technically into a way better fighter, and she's going to give a lot of the top girls in the world trouble. Think about this, B-Money. She fought a world champion with 15 days of legit training. A world champion. This girl's a champion of the world, and actually lost an 8-round decision to her. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I would say my concern going into the fight had nothing to do with her getting knocked out or anything like that at all. It was conditioning. I was more concerned that she was going to get gassed. That was the biggest thing that impressed me the most, was that it didn't really seem, to the naked eye, it didn't seem like she got gassed. She just kept pressing, I mean, Franchon was definitely doing a lot of the pressing for probably the first almost half of each round. But and then after that, Ashleigh was doing what she needed to do. If we were yelling for her to turn her, she was turning her. She was still. You had her stand in between rounds for like 4 rounds.
I got a little upset there after. I think it was after the 4th round, going into the 5th round. Maybe she was clowning a little too much. She stuck her tongue out after a couple punches.
Quite a few times.
So I got mad, and when she came back, I told you, I was like, before the round, I was like, listen, don't give her the stool. She's standing up. And I think, like I said to you guys, that was twofold. One, I was mad at her. I was wanting her to pay for that. 2, I knew that it would get in the other girl's head, and it did, because the other girl thought she was supposed to, like Franchon thought she was supposed to walk through Ashleigh, walk through her, knock her out. She's going to give up. It's going to be over. And in the 5th round, Franchon's looking over, and Ashleigh's standing up instead of sitting down. Do you know what that did to Franchon's psyche? It messed with her, because she came out and was out of character. She was throwing Ashleigh around. She was getting warned by the referee. She was hitting Ashleigh low. She was hitting Ashleigh in the back of the head. She was trying to do everything she could to get Ashleigh out of there, and nothing brought Ashleigh. Ashleigh was like a pesky mosquito. You keep slapping at it, and never goes away. And that's what Ashleigh was. She just never went away, and she's that tough of a girl. So even though we lost, I'm not happy with just going the distance. I'm not. Right. But at the same token, I always see the positive and the silver lining, and the silver lining is Ashleigh's that good of an athlete, Brandon, that she's never fought an amateur career. She's only had 20-plus pro fights, but she's that athletic and that tough that she went the distance with the world champion.
Right.
Not many people can say that.
And so I'll have here are my candid comments as well to the other corner, and I'm being as respectful as I possibly can, because I'm not that kind of guy that's just like just going to rip somebody. I was expecting more. I'll be honest with you, from the other side. For somebody to have a world title, I was expecting more technical prowess. I was expecting a little bit more than just the flash and flare outside of the ring, right? Because she has it. She has personality. And that's why she's where she's at on top of talent. But she's a personality, and she's great behind the camera and on a microphone. But I was actually expecting more in the ring. And once she got frustrated, it reverted back to, and it worked, some of the more of the bully mentality, but also just wild swinging and holding opponents down, forcing down, and getting those cheap little rabbit shots, things like that. I was actually shocked. I just expected more, and that's not me with sour grapes or anything like that at all. I was just I was anticipating a bit more from her, but then again, also she was also off for about a year or so too, so probably some rust there. But for them to talk about a potential Clarissa Shields and this and that, that's not going to happen. No way.
She's a ways away from that.
Yeah, quite a ways away. So I don't. Once again, I'm not going to take anything away from her. She won, and she's a champ. But that's just my assessment overall. I expect a little bit more, and I think the announcing and commentating crew should have been a little bit more honest with their assessment throughout the matchup as well.
They were definitely one-sided and really, really tried to sell Franchon, which is, I knew they would, because Golden Boy just signed her. So she was with the broadcast essentially, and it was Golden Boy live broadcast. So I kind of figured they would talk it out, but I also figured they'd be a little bit honest. And here's the deal. It's not sour grapes. I agree with what you're saying. It's not sour grapes. If you want my honest assessment of Franchon Crews, it's when you fight a person like Ashleigh. My whole goal for Ashleigh was, and before we got in there, I said, Ashleigh, I want you to frustrate this girl. I want you to make her miss. I want you to make it a rough fight and frustrate her. And that's exactly what Ashleigh did. Yep. Franchon lost her cool. If you want to be at that level, and you want to be at that elite special level and beat those like superstars like a Clarissa Shields, you can't lose your focus and lose your cool against fighters like Ashleigh. You have to keep your cool no matter what. Fight your game. Don't get into that wrestling. Don't get into that pulling them down and hitting them in the back of the head. And Franchon showed me that she doesn't have the mental grit to get to that next level of a Clarissa Shields. She is a world champion, so there's nothing taken away. She's got there. But if she wants to get to that superstardom, like I know they want, she's got work to do. Because she should have outclassed out everything Ashleigh, and she didn't. She won, but she didn't look good.
And listen, she has the right trainer in her corner. I think her second is really what was more of a distraction than anything else, and probably did not help any.
Yep. Which
And
is
we'll leave it at that. So overall, great experience. I was once again, thank you. I was more than happy to join you and be the second in the corner there for Ashleigh Curry. Happy to do it again. I can hold a spit bucket like the best of them.
You're really good with that stool too. Like I was like, don't give that stool to her. You're like, okay, I won't.
But that was the thing. You took away half my responsibility for like 4 rounds.
I know B Money was like, what did I get in trouble for, man? I was trying to do stuff.
and on top of that, the officiating crew at the ringside didn't allow me to use my ice bags. That the Texas licensed people said, yeah, those are good.
The Athletic Commission of Texas, they're always funny business, man. It's crazy because I've been on this game so long, and inside our locker room, they told us we could put ice, and they had me in baggies. So we dumped out all of our ice and just put them in baggies. And then we get out there.
Sealed baggies.
And then we get out there, and the other commission, which our lady that walked us out was gone by now, and the other commission people, they all worked for the commission, but then they were like, they told me after the first round, we can't do that. And I'm literally, if you watch the video, you can see me in the second round. I'm turning around like this.
Yeah.
I'm arguing for the first 30 seconds of the second round because I was like, Ashleigh specifically wanted ice on her neck between rounds. She's like, I love that. That's what keeps me cool, all that stuff. So we did it special for her. That's what we were there for. We were there for Ashleigh. So when the commission told me I couldn't do it, I was arguing with them. I was like, don't tell me that. I told them, I go, that's unprofessional. They told us we could do that. I dumped out all of the stuff. That commissioner said we have to put them in those bags, so I did. Now you guys are telling me in the second round after we already used it that we can't do that? B Money, tell me how that makes sense anyway. It was ice in a sealed bag.
It made no sense to me.
You're fighting a Golden Boy girl, so it just felt like the odds were already stacked against Ashleigh, and then they were even further stacked against her. I'm not saying that's why she lost, so not even close at all, because we lost fair and square. But they were really stacking the odds, man.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, Weekend Trav. So overall, thank you to you. Thank you to Golden Boy and DAZN. It was a great event. And given our circumstances with how a professional sports bubble works, I thought they did a fantastic job. There were some boring moments, gave me a lot of reflection time. I think there was some gray area on room service and trying to get this and that. This episode's not the time for it. We can talk about that another time. But overall, folks, we were trapped. We couldn't go anywhere. We had to eat what was provided. And
I was in a glass case of emotion.
Hey, think about it this way. That first night, if somebody didn't order water to be brought with their dinner, they had no water. No water.
No service at all.
Nothing. So anyways, that's the event's over. A great time. And here we are, Weekend Trav. This is the first episode of 2021. We were going to do it short today because obviously we put a lot of content out there over the past handful of days, and you and I are tired.
Oh, we're out, dude. It was a long week, man. We had Wednesday till Sunday. And overall, I do got to give massive props because I when people don't do good, we criticize them. But when they do good, I need to give respect. And I think Golden Boy and DAZN, that was a very good card from top to bottom.
Yeah. There were a lot of entertaining fights.
Were so good. The matchmaking, which goes to Roberto Diaz, he's the matchmaker, and so is Gomez. They did phenomenal. It delivered. Boxing, again, we're starting off 2021. If you were just tuning in to 2021 boxing and you hadn't watched boxing for a while, that fight card alone made you a fan. That was exciting fight card. The co-main was awesome.
What do they say? We started the year off with a bang, right? So overall, good job, guys out there, and fun time. We are back, and this week we're just back to the grind, man. Back to 2021. This is episode 27. We're going to come back at episode 28 this coming weekend. And we'll hopefully this will be out on YouTube and the podcast apps very shortly. If you are not subscribing or following our content, you really got to question yourself and question what you're doing in the year 2021. You really should be finding us on YouTube. You should find us on iHeartRadio and Spotify and Pandora and everything else that you find your audio podcast at. Look, research, weighing in with Travis Hartman. And if you're not subscribing, you need to scratch your head and look in the mirror and be like, why am I not doing this? And then go click the button and subscribe.
Or if you're not doing it, give me your address. I will knock on your door and I will literally punch you right in the stomach. Literally. So subscribe.
There you go. And then if you're one of those that wants notifications on YouTube, hit the bell icon too. So am I missing anything weekend, Trav?
No, man, it was a great trip. Thanks for, I'm glad that you joined us and you got to see kind of a little bit of my world and all of the contacts that I even know. I got to meet Oscar De La Hoya again, and he remembered me because I fought for him in 2006. That B Money is still a memory that I'm going to have for like ever. That's a video that I'm literally going to show my kids probably. I'm going to be like, Oscar De La Hoya, remember me.
We had Oscar De La Hoya remembering Travis's blue eyes. We had Todd Grisham saying that our logo was cool. Your logo was cool, the TH. We confused Ryan Garcia and got a chuckle out of him.
We got a cuss word of him too.
And a cuss word. Sorry, YouTube and everybody that follows our stuff. There's some swearing there. We got to see the background of Ryan Garcia coming out on that throne or whatever that was that they carried him out on. That was silly. That was pretty dumb. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like that.
It was, but we're talking about it, and that's what people do those things because they if you're talking about it.
It just let's be honest. I've in years past, I used to, as a kid, I watched a lot of pro wrestling stuff. The thing that they carried him out on looked second rate. It looked cheap. You don't want that.
That was COVID times, B Money.
That was okay. So, anyways, and also with regard to COVID, I love the fact that we're in a full airport in a full loaded down flight. And all that was protecting us from possibly the worst disease in humanity was a thin little mask.
A T-shirt.
Anyways. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Any final thoughts for us weekend, Trav?
No, man, it was a blessing to be there. We ended 2020 and we began 2021 all in the same trip. So that was pretty cool. We got to wrap all of that up. And we got to get a lot of experience. You got to see so much. We got to have lunch and talk with the Hall of Famer. It was pretty cool. Like Barry McGuigan, pretty cool. All the video that we got was amazing. Like you did so well with those lead ups, the day one, the day twos, the day three.
Thank you.
I hope that everybody tunes in because that's some cool stuff. That's some behind the scenes stuff at a legit professional world classic boxing. Like that's professional.
Listen, the only one that was better than me that whole time frame with the video, the guerrilla video was
Ellie Sekbeck.
Of course. However, we got in one of his longer videos there. We were on ES News and, Ellie, once again, another guy, very nice guy, down to earth. This is what amazed me the most is that event. And I think because the media was stripped out, the fans were stripped out, and it was just kind of all of us that were stuck in the core. Everyone was just very nice. I mean, it was like, I didn't feel super like out of place from a hierarchy standpoint. Everyone was pretty personable.
Yeah. It wasn't like kings and peasants.
No, because we were all stuck eating the same. We were stuck eating the same damn scrambled eggs for breakfast.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you so much for joining us on our shortened podcast episode of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. Once again, special thanks to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. Please subscribe below, smash that icon, the bell icon, and the little thumb up, or whatever you do. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Weighing In with Travis Hartman. And with that, thank you so much for your time. I think you're over there. That there is Travis Hartman, Weekend Trav.
That there is Brandon Waters, a.k.a. B Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. second man now.
Thanks for joining. God bless. And as always, go Pack Go.